for leadership, the key thing is to have and identify your core set of values. What do you believe every day? Do you believe in integrity? And do you believe in the truth? Do you believe in recognizing those that do great things? Do you believe in a learning culture? So getting grounded in your values and using those to direct you are really important.
Hello and welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host, Jeremy D'Souza, and today we have this really, really amazing guest with us. But before I introduce you to our wonderful guest, allow me to first introduce you to the magic of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform, available across 14 channels with 30,000 bots created and deployed across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, the video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 300,000 visitors annually. And now for our wonderful guest. Dr. Jonathan Reichental is the founder and CEO of Human Future. Jonathan is recognized as a global thought leader on a number of emerging trends, including the fourth industrial revolution, urban innovation, the future of cities, and blockchain technology. A multiple award-winning technology leader whose 30-year career spanned both private and public sectors. In 2017, he was named a top 100 chief information officer in the world. And in 2016, he was named one of the top 20 most influential CIOs in the United States. He's a popular writer and an educator, producing several highly successful online courses with LinkedIn Learning. Jonathan also co-hosts the popular podcast, Drinking Wine, Talking Tech. His new book on smart cities will be linked in the description. Jonathan, we're really, really thrilled to have you with us today.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's wonderful to be here from Northern California, and I'm excited to speak to you there over in Mumbai in India.
Absolutely. Technology is bringing us all together.
It's wonderful. Wonderful.
Jonathan, let's get started.
Yep.
Okay. So my first question to you is, do you think the fourth industrial revolution is more than just a change in technology? What's it all about?
Yeah, it's such a big deal, this new revolution we're in, and it's going to affect everybody. It's, if you look back, through the last 200-300 years, we've gone through these major transformations. The first industrial revolution introduced steam and steel and iron, and we built bridges and factories emerged and mass production. We went to a second industrial revolution, which was about leveraging electricity and inventing the telephone and telegraph and connecting the world. The third industrial revolution now starts in about the 1940s, and we're very much in it. It's the information age. It's about electronics and the internet and digitalization and the microchip. And now it feels and it looks like we're entering yet another one, a fourth industrial revolution. That takes everything of the past, all those innovations, all that change, and it just amplifies it on a global scale. It is definitely about technology. That's a big part of it. It's about seeing, for example, artificial intelligence being embedded in every part of our life. It's about the phenomena of huge amounts of data, or what we call big data. But it's more than technology, to your question. It's about breakthroughs in healthcare, for example, the emergence, our understanding of DNA, and how we can use that to get better healthcare outcomes. It's about changing demographics, even, right? So it's about some countries are aging and their populations are dropping, and for some other countries, they're expanding rapidly and their populations are averaging in the 20s and 30s, and you see that big shift all over the world. It's about changing economics. So, for example, you see the continent of Africa, finally getting over the tragedy of the past, yes, and beginning to get real economic traction, and it becomes a massive billion person marketplace over the next few decades. And finally, the fourth industrial revolution is about our destiny in cities. Humans are moving into cities at a rapid rate, and by the middle part of this century, we'll be up to 70% of all humans living in an urban environment. And all of this, by the way, is happening in the context of climate change. The results of all this, changes to work, changes to expectations, changes to the needs of products and services, and a more connected future. So I've summarized a very big topic there in just a couple of moments, just to kind of let you and our audience know this is a big deal, and it'll continue for several decades.
Yeah, it's a very vast, very expansive topic. So my question to you is, how best can businesses prepare for this wonderful fourth industrial revolution? And what will be the role of AI, automation, and the Internet of Things in this entire situation?
Yeah. Well, the biggest risk to most organizations, the biggest risk to most private organizations in particular, is relevancy. If you take nothing more away from this conversation, that's the one thing that I'd really focus on. And what that means is, next week, next month, next year, is what you deliver still valued in the marketplace? And to answer that question, you've got to understand the competitive space. You got to understand your customers, and you got to understand these major trends that are happening. And so you could have had the last 20, 30 years, you could have been very successful, but with the rate of change right now, a competitor might spring up in weeks, and suddenly you're not as relevant, or you're beginning to quickly lose market share. So I think you've got to be able to be very good at understanding your market, these trends, and be ready, frankly, to make some bold risks. It's going to feel uncomfortable, right? It's not business as usual. So taking risks, being bold, and recognizing the changes. Those are some key things. I would just say, basically, finally, my final point in this, because I would be remiss if I didn't say it. What a lot of the success comes down to for many organizations is really good leadership. And those characteristics I just shared are very much, the dimensions of a good leader and the good leadership of a business. Can you identify trends well? Are you prepared to take some risks, knowing that you could fail, but also knowing that the return could be enormous, and guiding your organization and your people through this period of disruption?
Yeah, certainly. You just cannot afford to not be paying attention right now. If you're
Right.
caught off guard, you're probably going to go down in this current situation. You need to be on the ball, and your leadership needs to be extremely aware of the entire situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
You did mention leadership. So how critical is it going to be to actually have both great leadership and an amazing employee experience in order to embrace all these changes and prepare for the future which is coming?
Well, there's different types of leaders, right? Some people are just born as great leaders. Leadership is about doing the right thing, about doing the right things. And management is about doing things right. And so, there's a values base to that. If you aren't blessed with the luxury of being born as a charismatic leader who just naturally is able to gain respect from peers and colleagues and your staff and your customers, you've got to build the skills. You've got to get the experience, and so for leadership, the key thing is to have and identify your core set of values. What do you believe every day? Do you believe in integrity? And do you believe in the truth? Do you believe in recognizing those that do great things? Do you believe in a learning culture? So getting grounded in your values and using those to direct you are really important. The other leadership quality, and this applies to management, of course, is hiring the right people. And I think that was part of your question. There's a saying you should hire slow, fire fast, right? And I like that a lot. I often go back to that because every hire you make in your organization defines the culture and prepares your organization for the fourth industrial revolution now more than ever. So make sure you're hiring the people that are aligned with your values, with the mission of the business, who are people who are agile. They're very flexible in the work that they do, and comfortable with almost sudden changes, sudden pivots in what their roles are and the role of the business. At the end of the day, organizations have to be led by people who are passionate about what they do, and they have to have followers who completely understand the mission of the business. Completely understand. I would suggest to your audience, if you're a manager or a leader, and you have a chance to talk to your team soon, and perhaps get on a virtual meeting like this, ask your team if they know the vision statement and the mission statement of the business.
Yeah.
And sadly, actually, the answer might be that most of them don't know it. And I think that can be a little sobering. So, try that little experiment. And if everyone answers it, immediately, this is what we do, that's a great sign. But if you're getting, blank stares from your team, they we don't know the mission statement or the vision statement. That's work. That's ahead of you. That's work.
I like your point about hiring the right people and hiring slow. It actually ties into something which we had in a previous episode of this show, where Claire Boss Scott said that one of the best ways to make sure that your employee base is intrinsically motivated is to hire people who are passionate in the first place, rather than just trying to train them for it.
You're right. Yeah, no, I support. Sorry, I support that. I think it's a wonderful point. That's a wonderful point. You can train people in technical skills, right? You can put people into classes. You can get people certified. You can have people learn from others on the job. But hiring passionate people, that's important. People have to come to the table with a true belief in what you're doing and a passion for it. And that is something you can't necessarily enforce or teach, right? So I love this point. And you do that during the rigorous hiring process.
Yeah, certainly. Jonathan, my next question to you is: how is conversational AI, especially voice-activated virtual assistants, how are they going to change the way we communicate with each other? How are they going to change the entire game?
The role of virtual assistants and chatbots and conversational bots, it's going to be a major part of the emergence now and in the years ahead. It's interesting if I think even about this pandemic that we're in, and we have challenges with, for example, getting customer service right now. People are either sick or they're not going to work, or perhaps there's not the technology available for everyone to be able to perform their job. How do you supplement that? How do you kind of fill in that gap? I've had a reason, for example, to call my cable company. I've had a reason to call my bank. And I noticed that in sort of the higher tier companies, they're offering alternatives. Like, you want to use a chatbot for this question you have, or can we gather information from you before you get to a person, so that the easy stuff is offloaded from humans to technology. And then when you get into the really detailed stuff, it might be still necessary to connect you with a human being. But what's fascinating about the data on this is a lot of people can get their answer they need from a conversational chatbot, an AI-driven, assistant. So what I feel sort of certainly in the short term, heading into the midterm, is these are complementary technologies that help with better customer service and a better experience, particularly when they're good. I mean, of course, we know, you and I know, there are chatbot solutions that are weak, but there are also ones that are really strong, yeah. and they can make the customer experience better. Now, what's going to happen in the years ahead is these assistants, whether they're in your home or in your interactions with enterprises, they're going to get smarter and smarter. And you've heard of the Turing test. If you've ever done any computer science, you've heard of the Turing test. Let me just explain it for those that don't know it on who are watching. The Turing test basically is this idea that you can communicate with someone else or something else that you can't see, and you can't know. You don't know ultimately if it's a human or a computer. So you can have a conversation, say, "Hey, how are you?" and the reaction will be, "I'm okay. What are you up to?" And you're interacting via some sort of technology interface. And the test is to try to convince you that who you're chatting with is a human, is actually really natural. And when in reality, the test succeeds if it's a computer. And so I think we're trending towards a time when these conversational chatbots and virtual assistants will often, exceed the Turing test, and you'll be able to have a conversation in your home, just like Iron Man does with his home in the Iron Man movies. So anyway, in conclusion, if you're not looking at this space, you're not investing in experimentation, or you're not deploying chatbots, you're missing an opportunity. And I really do believe these are a huge part of how we'll engage with technology and organizations and entities in the future.
Yeah, certainly. As NLP and other technologies keep progressing, we are probably going to get to this Jarvis level situation pretty soon, and that's going to be a very exciting time for all of us.
The experience has to be good. If it's a bad chatbot experience, people will be turned off. It has to be a good experience.
Yeah. You need a powerful solution, one that actually has powerful NLP rather than just something that has a few FAQs plugged in and could just read out an answer if it's typed in perfectly. Okay, Jonathan, are there any other thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, no, thank you, Jeremy, so much for this real privilege to chat with you today and share some quick thoughts. I think it's important that people learn about their cities, of course. I think that there's great opportunity to sell into cities. There's a lot of innovation happening in cities, and that includes communities using chatbots to interact with their governments. So I've just written a book, as you can see here, Smart Cities for Dummies. It's available online to purchase or at your local bookstore. And it's already a #1 bestseller. And I talk about a lot of the things you and I have had a conversation about today, but in much more detail. I give very specific guidance to the reader. So thank you for the opportunity to share that. I'd love for people to learn about their cities, how they can get involved, how they can sell into cities, if they're vendors, and how they can build better communities. So this is definitely the heart and soul of the fourth industrial revolution, and I encourage people to learn about their cities and the future of cities.
Absolutely. I'm sure that they're all going to be buying it. There's going to be a lot of value stuck over there for them.
Thank you.
Yeah, so guys, you really should check it out. Jonathan, another question. Sure. Where can they find you? Where can they reach out to you?
Right. Yeah, I love meeting new people, connecting with new people and new ideas. So I'm really open to it. I will pretty much always respond to anyone who reaches out. I'm very active on Twitter, which you can get me at Reichental, at Reichhental, and you'll probably put it in the show notes. You can get me on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn, so you can send me a message or connect with me there. And otherwise, if those two don't work for you, go to my personal website, reichental.com, and I will connect and respond to you. So I'd love to have follow up with anybody who's interested in these topics. I really enjoy that, and I just want to be able to educate and to be helpful.
Guys, what are you waiting for? Go tweet at him. Go connect with him. You're gonna get some really amazing insights out of Jonathan right here. So yeah, go ahead, tweet at him, connect with him, and Engati CX will be back with a new expert and a new episode really soon. We're waiting to see you there, guys.